Pro Team have not shown up, and Dusan Borkovic announced during the week last week that in fact he was now going to concentrate on racing in the European Touring Car Cup, which starts this weekend. He'll be in a Seat Leon. And there is no Nika Racing Honda either. Ricard Rydell still not well enough with this infection he's got in the thyroid, I guess a thyroiditis of some kind, which he picked up just in the run-up to Marrakesh. So he is still definitely not ready to race. And unfortunately, that means we're 2 Hondas down.
I thought the thyroid thing was the thing women had. It's normally a normal complaint.
I don't think that, no. Normally a thyroid problem is a lack of iodine in the diet, and that's and it's addressed by iodine supplements.
But Ricard did used to suffer with his liver or something, because when he had a big shunt back in Formula 3000, I remember he was hospitalised for a long, long time back in the day before he even started in touring cars, which pretty much finished his single-seater career.
Yeah.
And that's why he went into touring cars, and he did suffer with that for many, many years. And so whether it's a knock-on effect from that in some way, form or another,
I don't know. I certainly, I mean, obviously, yeah, I am a doctor, but I understood, not a doctor of medicine. I understood that, and not a doctor of anything.
Doctor of Science of Television.
No, doctor of shit. I understood that it was some kind of viral or bacterial infection that he'd picked up, which is not a long-term thing, but and is definitely a thyroid-related problem.
Just seeing the elongated stubs on the hub of the larder there. That's for just making the finding of the locating of the nuts when they put them on. If there's a rapid pit stop in dry to wet or vice versa, they can just locate the nuts and everything. They just throw them on sort of NASCAR style. They can drill the wheels back on, because it's mandatory that they have to run a 5-stud fixing rather than the centre lock, as you see in British touring cars or Australian supercars. So
yeah, and as a result, no mid-race pit stops.
Well, you can, Martin, but
yeah,
it does make it hard
Not
work.
If you want to actually compete with anybody.
Because
they do it in NASCAR because everybody does it, but
and there is a restricted amount of numbers of people they can use on each car in the pit stops as well.
Sebastian Loeb there talking to his engineer. Boom! It just went straight in. That's those arms are saying it just went straight in like that.
Check your brake bias, I'd say.
Yeah. Session will restart at 9:17, according to race control, which
Martin.
will be in 2.5 minutes. Ben Constangiristan in the pit lane. Good morning.
Good morning. Just a little bit more housekeeping in that we didn't actually have testing yesterday, because normally we'd have testing at every race meeting this season. However, the testing could not happen because 5 cars were down in the centre of Budapest at the May Day parade, and therefore instead of doing a 30-minute testing session, which would have been sort of help to get the cars set up and shaken down after the Nordschleife test on Tuesday, and the cars been busy, in fact all they did was do 3 or 6 laps behind the safety car, nice slow speeds, just to make sure everything was bolted on correctly. So these are the first laps they've done at speed around Budapest, and normally, as I say, they'd have half an hour testing, so a little bit tough. Now Alex, I think, has got Sebastian Loeb. I can see her in the background.
Yeah, she's down there with Sebastian Loeb, so as soon as we get a moment to speak to the World Rally Champion, we'll hear from him.
Seb, that is not the way that you wanted to start this weekend. What happened?
It happened that the conditions are really, really difficult this morning. A lot of water on the road, and I've been surprised on the first real braking of the first flying lap that the grip was really, really low, and so I crashed immediately in the tires, so some damage on the car.
But you, of all people, what was going through your head as you're coming towards the tyres?
Some feeling that I don't like, for sure. You prefer to brake than to stay on the road, but yeah, that's it. We will miss one session, so that's not so good. I will have to work hard after.
Thanks, Seb.
Very polite answer. I think we can all imagine exactly the words he was thinking to himself, and they'd be no different for a 9-time World Rally Champion, Matt, than from any other driver of any other car where he sees the accident coming towards him.
I'm liking Alex's form of questioning at the moment. I think that's top notch. Very
Absolutely.
good. Put him under pressure.
We ought to make her ill every weekend. She's snotty and feisty. Oh dear.
That is needs a bit of TLC, doesn't it?
You see, once you pull all the detritus away, it's not the bodywork, and my worry is how far back that wheel has been pushed.
Well, it looks like the door's in one piece and the windscreen's in one piece.
But the door wouldn't open, so the door's been shunted back.
Yeah, it's because it's all
Maybe
been
not
squashed
far.
into it.
Yeah.
The roof's in one piece, so that's one of the major things. So it's just got to make sure no intrinsic parts of the cage have been damaged.
Yeah, no kink in the cage.
Right, because if that's happened, he's out for the weekend. He's gone. Write it off.
Having a conversation last night about momentum and good luck, and how much good luck comes from momentum and how much momentum comes from good luck. And we're talking about this man who at the moment, and in fact since the beginning of last year, Matt, can do no wrong. Watch him now skate off into the first corner.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Lopez. He's running with his visor down, even though it's a clear visor, in the wet. And because of the humidity and the heat in there, that will likely steam up.
Well, they've got the blower in through the back of the helmet,
right.
and so with the visor down, it actually allows the air to be blown down past the face, and that will help it not mist up. At least I'm assuming he's got the hose in that people like Rob do. I know that Loeb does. I think Muller does. Let's have a look.
You can see him just,
Yeah,
the rear one does
twitching.
step out.
And he doesn't mind. He's quite happy for it to step out.
Just to expand on the Sebastian Loeb thing and why I'm saying the front wheels might have locked up. These cars are so reliant on the differentials with the braking. They run a lot more braking to the front normally in the dry conditions. And they're so reliant because they can turn, they can, as they brake, and they can brake right through to the apex of the corner. But if you mistakenly lock a wheel, especially in the wet, a front wheel, it can stall the engine. And once the engine's stalled, you haven't got the grip in the surface, the tyre to the surface, to restart the engine like you would in the dry or like you would in your everyday road car. So you literally are a passenger, and you can't dip the clutch and try and restart it, because even then it just will stay locked, because everything is so stiff in comparison to what you'd encounter on an everyday road car.
Martin, just walking alongside Sebastian's damaged car, looking at the metal structure, the crash structure, the carbon fibre crash structure at the front is broken, but the aluminium subframe beyond that looks absolutely intact. The part where you attach the bonnet to has bent back, but that will be easily welded into the suspension, and the suspension will need replacing, but it looks like the arch is still intact. So, and down goes the garage like it's Le Mans. Come on, Citroën, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Paranoia are us.
That's actually good, Ben, because the front crash structure, they're designed to crumple, to absorb all the impact. So sounds as though it's been doing its job, and as it's designed by Citroën guys. He is definitely, Lopez is sliding around, isn't he?
Yeah, he went wide all the way around the outside of turn 12. He's just had a big slithery moment down as he got off the brakes in turn 1. Here's the local hero, Norby. Despite the vile weather, you can just hear this constant barrage of air horns here. There aren't an awful lot of fans out today, but the forecast for tomorrow is slightly better, and I'm sure there will be an awful lot of fans out watching the local hero, Norbert Mikulich. Norby with 3 career wins. Am I right in thinking 2 of them have come here? Twice?
You can see the headlights of these new Civics, and they are really sexy with the he's definitely tiptoeing. I was going to say, with the running lights around the bottom, and they really do look proper good, I think.
And there's a lot of difference actually to the Honda Civic, which is now the Honda Civic Type R WTCC. It's a brand new facelift for this weekend, completely new front bumper, which is a lot more intrinsic, a lot more detail to it. You can't really see it in the black there of Norby's car. Also new rear bumper and a bit more of a spoiler that joins the 2 rear lights together, which is underneath that the main spoiler. So there is cosmetic changes. I don't know how much that's going to make a difference in terms of the aerodynamics. Obviously the air still has to hit all those bits, so they're hoping that it'll be a good thing, but it's mainly down to make the car look like your British touring car, Matt, and obviously the road car, which is coming out very soon.
Yeah, the aero package is, they said, quite a step forward in terms of grip and performance. They were talking about that after testing during the week at the Nordschleife of the Nürburgring, because we are going back to race in Germany this season. Our next race in 2 weekends' time will be at the Nürburgring. And an idea that we floated in a slightly facetious conversation on Twitter a couple of years back, and lo and behold, it seems to have actually happened.
Yeah, there's going to be a Type R parade at the ring, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough last week to sit in one of the new Type R's road cars, the actual road cars that's going to come out, and they are a tremendous piece of kit. So much so, I've flicked the boss of Honda UK and emailed see if I can order on what colour I can have one in.
But if you can't get one, Ben's going to have to just sit and wait for his Alpha 4C to turn up. Wet conditions here in the first free practice, 21 minutes remaining. Jose Maria Lopez fastest from Ivan Muller. Tarquini third quickest in the Honda, then Montero in fourth place in his Honda. Mehdi Banani has just been deposed by Stefano D'Aste, who's going very nicely, thank you, in a Munich Motorsport Chevy Cruze. And Lopez proving that he is not immune to a first corner error. He goes down the road. And this is what you have to do, Matt, in these conditions. It's not about qualifying, it's not about setting lap times, it's about getting the car under you, finding where the grip is, and making the car work properly. He slows down to allow Ivan to go by. That's up at turn 4.
Yeah, we got pretty much everyone on track at the moment, bar Jimmy Thompson in his Lada Vesta, which they seem to be working on feverishly outside his box, and Kozlowski's just come in as well, so...
Qinghua Ma in the pits as well, and of course no Sebastian Loeb.
Of course, the Lada is a brand new car, and obviously the old car was quite good in the wet. It was quite soft, and it seemed to work. Jimmy T just changing the front springs completely before he goes back out again. So real wholesale learning changes right now, and Kozlowski, I guess, will have the same thing. They're sharing information between Huffy and Thompson, trying to get Kozlowski up to speed with the car as well, because he hasn't had much running. And of course, building 2 new cars, or 1.5 new cars. One for Rob, which is a brand new car, which was the test car, was supposed to be the test car. And Kozlowski, a lot of damage after Marrakesh, but now got a car underneath him once again.
Rob's coming in as well. I'm sure they'll know that because he's losing a right front wheel, and it is just about to depart, and he has realised that he's got a major problem. So he pulls slowly. That is turn 9 and 10, so he'll be in as well. We'll have a full house of Ladas in the garage.
That's not good, because he'd almost be better pulling over, because that's going to wreck his hub.
Yeah. With
the wheels chattering and smashing on that. Well, because he's only in 9 and 10, he's got a good distance to get back to the box.
Stefano D'Aste putting in his application here for a drive-in World Rallycross. Keep it lit.
It does look incredibly slippy everywhere out there, doesn't it?
Well, don't forget how little use this track actually gets. It's not like a UK track where they'll have been racing for the last sort of month on it or whatever. This is one of 2 major race meetings here, the other being the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it does get used occasionally, but it is occasional. So the track is normally faster with every session here, because you get rid of the dust and the muck that's been here from a winter of lack of use. And the winters are pretty cold in Hungary and pretty dirty in terms of what gets left on the track. And then
how much use does it get then, Martin, through the year?
More than a dozen race meetings,
really?
I don't think. Yeah, really. So you know, normally you're cleaning up the track in the first free practice, and there's all that detritus under the water.
Yeah, the sad thing for us with Huffy, we were hoping for great things from Huffy this weekend. And I think he was as well, but I think that's going to be his session over if he manages to limp this thing back.
Yeah, well, he's there now. He's in corner 12, so he'll peel off into the back of the pit lane from here on. And again, you can see the helmet hose. That's the cooling system that a lot of them are using. That's on his Stilo helmet. So it blows air in. They were saying in Marrakesh it blows hot air and then really hot air, but at least it's blowing something past your face, so you can start to breathe a little bit instead of just... I mean, as you said, one of the most important things is it helps keep the sweat out of your eyes, which, as everybody knows, is a fairly nasty thing to be trying to deal with. So Huff goes back to the garage, where he will join Thompson and Kozlowski. There is Victor Shapovalov in the headset on your right, the boss of the Lada Sport team. Peter Huff waiting for his son to come in. Yellow flag at turn 11. Well, Huffy's cleared that, so who's gone off? It's corner 12. Thiago running a little wide. We've seen in wet races before constant use of these last few corners, the long wide line all the way around the outside, because there's never rubber down there.
Thiago definitely finding the limits there.
He was on the racing line, wasn't he? Then Huffy's back into the garage now, you could see in the background. Qinghua Ma has gone 4th quickest.
Yeah, Martin, looking at that, the front right wheel, the wheel is still attached perfectly to the hub, so it's a hub failure rather than the wheel coming loose, which is a bit of a shame. It doesn't look like it's attached at all.
Yeah, I think the only thing holding it on there was the brake line and the wheel arch. Okay, so work to do on all 3 larders then. Stefano D'Aste rescinding his application for World Rallycross glory as he loops it round. Definitely having fun though.
At the moment, it is business as usual at the top of the pile with Pachito Lopez 1.5 seconds clear of the field.
Yeah.
So, and even his teammate, the illustrious Ivan Muller, who is a Rennmeister from the years, but Muller's 0.5 second clear of the next guy, Montero.
Yeah, Thiago's 3rd quickest, splitting up the Citroens.
Well, Montero and Tarquini getting into the Citroen party, which is it's great to see. The Hondas are on the attack.
Yeah, however, Thiago is 2.08 seconds slower than Lopez, and Tarquini was 2.71 seconds slower than Lopez, so might be mixing with them in terms of numbers, but not in terms of race pace or any other kind of pace at the moment. Lopez making everybody look, in fairness, making everybody look very pedestrian, because Ivan Muller was 1.6 seconds slower, and that's the overall race speed gap between the Citroens and their rivals. So you've got the Hondas and the Chevrolets on one pace, you've got the Citroens on another pace, 1.6, 1.8 seconds quicker, and at the moment you've then got Lopez in a little separate class entirely of his own, another 1.6 seconds quicker than anyone else. How can he do it and make it look so easy?
He's quite annoying, actually, isn't he?
Any amount of brilliance is quite annoying. No, he's the problem is it's very hard to be annoyed by him because he's so charmingly disarming about the whole thing.
Yeah, he's very modest in his...
Yeah, he really is in his demeanour. Yeah.
And this was one of the not frustrations, but surprises from the Nordschleife test on Tuesday, that Pachito's first lap, he went out and he was fastest, top of the timesheets throughout the whole day. He found 5 seconds, but no one was... I think he would still have been about 4th or 5th with that time he did on his very first lap out on the Nordschleife. And he'd done about 8 laps in a road car and about 50 on the simulator, but still an incredible sort of feeling just to go instantly very, very quickly in that car. And it obviously means he's got complete confidence in the machine underneath him, and he seems to know where the grip is out on this circuit.
And the thing with the Nordschleife as well is that we were hearing from the team is that he basically drives it on the simulator and then goes straight out and drives it exactly the same way with the race car, whereas everybody else goes, yeah, well, the simulator says I can do this, let's see if, yeah, maybe. He seems more able, more willing, or whichever of the two it is, to commit himself 100% immediately to what he learned on the simulator. And as a result, you're exactly right, Ben, you know, fresh tyres and raring to go and fully G'd up. His first lap was almost beaten by nobody. It's a remarkable ability.
Just watching Philippi down there, he's crossing the white line and then straddling the white line, so he's got to come back across at some point. It's the old adage, you don't go near a white line.
He's never ridden a motorbike, has he? So it should be mandatory that racing drivers should have to ride a motorbike for a year in all weathers, because that teaches you not to go near paint.
Really cross the solid white line anyway.
No, exactly right. I mean, that's actually illegal. We've seen drivers black flagged and given drive-throughs for that, haven't we, in touring car races here before now? Look at the spray coming up off those wheels out through the... See where the vent is on the back of the wheel arch to allow the hot air to come out from under the engine bay and from around the turbocharger. And you just see... This is almost like a wind tunnel, isn't it? Because you can see from the car, from the spray, where the airflow goes.
Yeah, so with Citroen's Super Duper simulator, I guess they'll be... they can simulate it being wet out there, but they can't simulate the differences in asphalt grading.
Well, listen, you know,
Corner.
and a simulator, I could spend all month on the simulator and still have no idea how to drive the car quickly. It's not about the simulator. It's a tool. In the same way that you can put me in his car and I can't do the speed, because it's not the tool, it's the driver using it, and that's the big difference that he's brought to that team. Is I certainly absolutely guarantee Citroen had no idea that his first season with them was going to be the way it was. He certainly didn't.
Tarquini up to second quickest.
Again, straddling the white line. Might be a little word from race control about that,
I
actually.
wonder why they're doing that, unless they're finding a wee bit more grip in on.
Yeah, well, yeah, the problem is, of course, on the left-hand side is where everybody brakes ever, always, always, and where all the rubber is from all the lockups that everybody's always had over the years. And so you want to leave a good 2 cars widths, if you can, from the white line on your left. That sort of puts you more to the right of the road.
And if you were defending going down in there, you'd be in the middle of the road trying to get your attacker onto the left-hand side of you. So it's probably quite oily and ungrippy for the most part of that apex. Because also it sort of wants you to turn in early, that place. So I would say being really, really far to the inside line is probably the least grippy in dry conditions and then most grippy in wet conditions.
Yeah, the problem is they are crossing the solid white line on the pit exit road, and you're not allowed to do that. Thompson doesn't, because he understands the rules. So Jimmy T out on track for the first time. No, he's done 3 laps. This is lap 3. So he went out and came back in, didn't he?
Yeah, a lot of what these sessions are about are trying obscure things. You know, with the Lada team, they'll be going 3 different directions, seeing what they can get to work. You know, they've got a minimal amount of time, 2 30-minute sessions, which goes so fast. So, you know, but a lot of the things they try aren't going to be good for the car. You know, literally more than 50% of what they try is going to make the car feel worse. And the only way you can find out is go out there and push it to the limit. If it goes off or starts to slide, then, you know, that's the limit, and you work from there and try and tune it around that. But they'll be going down a few blind alleys before they find some of the sweet spots.
Well, you have to, because it's a brand new car, and it's not run in the rain before, and it's not run at the Hungary ring before, and last year's setup doesn't work. The car's a different shape, it's a different weight, it's a different width. They'll have tried to carry over as much as they can, but they'll also have tried to adapt as much as they can and improve as much as they can, and as a result, the setup sheet for the Hungary ring is a plain sheet of A4 with nothing written on it except for Hungary ring FP1 at the top. And from there on, it's learning all the way. And this is new car problems, because they didn't have a year's run-up like Citroen did when they weren't racing. They designed and built the new cars ready to go on the boat in February to go to Argentina for the start of the season in March. So, bearing in mind that Macau was in November and the old cars still had to come back and the team had to come back, it's a very, very short build period, even if the design had been worked on earlier during the season.
Yeah, and then you've got about testing. You know, a lot of these times each chassis is registered for each driver, and then they're on boats and planes being shipped from hither to this continent to that continent. So if they wanted to, it'd be tough for them to do.
You have to have a separate car based at your race base just for testing, in addition to building 3 brand new cars from a bare shell from the factory. You know, it's a very, very compressed build schedule, because our off-season for the winter sounds like it's all right, you know, November to March, but you've got to take 12 weeks out of that because cars are on boats.
And that is one of the reasons why we aren't going to Macau this year, to try and actually make the winter a little bit more efficient. Oh, and around goes that's his favourite corner.
Yeah, it is. Well, or his least favourite. He's obviously looking for the grip and still failing to find it.
But yeah, so one of the arguments from Francois Ribeiro, who's the boss of WTCC, was that to try and make the winter more efficient and longer for the teams, if we only are in Qatar, then the boat has to travel half the distance back to Antwerp, where it's based, to get the cars back to the teams probably by the end of the year, so that they've got the whole of January and February to go testing before they then go off to Argentina.
Yeah, see, not starting in South America would have been another way of saving 6 extra weeks. Okay, starting in Europe in April as opposed to South America at the beginning of March. But, you know,
yeah, but it's warmer in Argentina. Get the sun. They need a bit of sun after that time.
And we've got to get over to Argentina at some point because we've got so many amazing fans for Pachito Lopez.
Absolutely.
And how do you fit it into the season once you've begun the season? We obviously did it in July or August time last year, and it just meant that massive period where the cars came from Europe to South America and then from South America to Asia.
Oh, it's a good slide off Michelitz there into
pitched
turn
it in.
four.
That was proper rally style pitching it in there. I mean, the other thing is that Argentina, of course, Rally Argentina was last week won by Chris Meek, first UK driver to win a World Rally Championship event in 13 years. The last was Colin McRae, his long-time mentor. So Rally Argentina's been on. The Dakar, of course, started in January. We've had World Touring Cars, World Rally. MotoGP have been already as well. So they are cramming everything in terms of international motorsport in Argentina into basically the end of their summer. So it's all going in before we get to a European summer. All the major events will have gone to Argentina.
And what was remarkable when we went to Argentina at the start of the year, Pachito said, we'd never race in Termas at this time of the year because it's just too hot. We wait until the winter when it's nice and cool.
And wet. Yes. Yeah, doing a bit of research on the track, I watched the Argentine, before we went the first time, watched the Argentine touring car race from about a month earlier, and it was Arctic and hosing it down. And yeah, the weather was a little bit better, certainly. Mikko Kozlowski out on track in his Lada as well. He's gone quicker than Gregoire de Moustier, who is now down at the bottom of the pile with a 2-minute 25.2 time, which is 12 seconds off the fastest. Black and white flag reminding Stefano D'Aste about track limits. Got to say that he's not deliberately exceeding the grip of the car at turn 5. When he's going backwards over the white line, that's not actually an advantage being gained. So I think that's a slightly wasted message on the timing screen. I'd much rather see them make a statement about whether or not you are allowed to cross the white line at the pit exit, because in previous years, as I said, we have seen drive-through penalties in races for that.
This is a fast one from Thiago.
Fastest first sector of all.
I was just looking, Muller's re-established himself a few minutes ago as back into P2, putting Lopez under real pressure because he's now got to within a second of him.
Yeah, 1.1 away.
So Lopez set the fastest sector 3 in response, and he's now just got to set the fastest sector 1 of the session. So
yeah, so Thiago's
there's a bit more left there, yeah.
Thiago's quick lap is quick, but he started 2.08 seconds behind, and as he comes across the line, he goes second fastest, 0.9 behind. So he is the first man to get within a second of Jose Maria Lopez. And in Marrakesh, they were talking about this new aero package, saying it's got better grip, and we hope that on the quicker tracks, what it'll really do for them is medium to high-speed corners, give them more grip there. And that certainly seems to be working at the moment. Thiago.
Fastest sector 2 for Lopez.
Yeah, this is purple helmets all the way for Jose Maria Lopez.
He's about to put everyone back in their box.
Yeah, and he just has the ability to produce another one. I don't know where the hat is in there that he pulls these laps out of. Well, I do. It's sitting on top of his head, obviously. But
you see him modulating. You look down at the right-hand side of the screen there, modulating the brake with the accelerator. Very soft touches on both of them. Just finding the grip there.
This is the last couple of corners. That was the long last corner you just watched him through there. Oh. You saw twice going lock-stop to lock-stop almost as the car stood out. And he goes quicker again, a 2-minute 12.7.
That is quite a...
And see, that's where those big corrections came from, when he got off onto the green stuff where there is no grip at all.
He is 7/10 slower than he's been through that last sector, thanks to that mistake. Yeah. And still 1.4 faster than anyone else.
And still went half a second quicker, yes. I know. So it could have been 1.2 seconds quicker. Or if he'd been a fraction slower in corner 13, 1.1 seconds quicker without going off. Exactly right. Thiago Monteiro still keeping it lit, though, Matt, in the Honda.
Yeah, the problem I mean, historically with the Honda, the chassis is very, very stiff, which will make it harder work in the wet, so they're more reliant on the tyre. But they've been doing it. I mean, it's a great job that they're both there. Montero's up there in second. He's back up into second again, and just set on this lap before he had his couple of moments was fastest front sector of anybody, including Lopez.
Yeah, he's gone quicker than Lopez in sector 1.
So we got Citroen's first, third at the moment, and Honda's 2, 4 and 5 with Michelin's in fifth as well.
Hugo Vallant, we're looking at 12th at the moment. This is only his 8th lap, and Stefano D'Aste's done 11. D'Aste's clearly out there, happy as a sandboy. I'm not coming back in. I don't want any adjustments. I'm driving around it. Now, Vallant there was not just clipping the white line, but fully inside the pit exit road. I need to go and speak to our race director and find out whether the FIA have dropped rules about crossing solid white lines on race
Now with
tracks.
Vallant, obviously I didn't get to Morocco. Did they get to the... And everybody was suffering with brake problems in Morocco. Now the one person who was suffering with brake problems in Argentina was Hugo.
Yeah.
So did they get to the bottom of that and what that was?
I think actually the qualifying thing, it was just driver error.
Really?
It's got in too deep. I don't remember
Over-exuberance.
I don't remember hearing that a brake broke on him.
The Argentina problem seemed to be the routing of the brake lines around the front wheels. So the Campos team have routed it in a different way to Roal, and it was sort of catching on the brake caliper, wearing a little hole, and then obviously then failing because there was no fluid in the brake lines. And I think they eventually got to that point after his crash in Paul Ricard testing, after 2 crashes in Argentina. So it was just a mistake that he had in Marrakesh, and then he played silly buggers with Bernani in both the races.
Yeah. Didn't endear him particularly, I think, to the local crowd. Tom Coronel with quite a lot of wing on. Tom Coronel always has quite a lot of wing on. That looks like a funny car rear wing, though, at the moment. He's got... I didn't know that the Chevy rear wing would go like that. You see, D'Aste's behind is almost flat, almost level. Thiago Montero, very quick lap from him at the moment. Whoa! And again, carrying a little bit too much pace into corner 12. Whether the lap stands or not, it is only free practice, and again finding the paint, and there's no traction there, so it's off the throttle. Checkered flag is out, and Montero will be the first to take it as he completes the lap. His fastest, 2 minute 14.249. That was a 2 minute 14.858. He's 1.475 seconds behind the fastest lap. Here's our slightly exuberant flag marshal. It's a girl, actually, who's the flag marshal here in Hungary, historically.
Doesn't want to get her hair wet.
Don't be like that.
There's some very good-looking marshals around the circuit this weekend. It's already spotted yesterday.
Some very wet-looking marshals around the circuit as well this weekend already.
Some very muscular security personnel as well.
Yeah. So Vallant takes the flag. Thompson and Kozlowski have both taken the flag. On board with Jose Maria Lopez. Personal best in sector 1. Fairly rubbish sector 2. Only 2 seconds quicker than everybody else, but not a personal best. And the final sector sees him go. Last lap was 2:13. That's the fastest lap of all. 2:11.930.
Come on, 2.3 seconds faster.
Yep, 2.3 seconds faster. And cruising around. It is just as well he's nice to talk to, isn't it? Because we do spend a lot of time talking to him. So Gabriele Tarquini, what does he do?
One person who won't like that is Muller.
Yeah.
He will not like that at all.
Tarquini goes third. Ivan's still out there.
Well, at least...
But not a better lap from Ivan. He was last lap was his out lap. He's not got green sectors on this lap. Lopez, Tarquini and Montero. So Tarquini, in fact, went second, not third.
I think Muller won't have green sectors. He hasn't got green sectors, but he'll be pretty green by the time he gets back in the box. He won't. 2.5 seconds behind Pachito. He's going to be
and a second behind Gabriele. He's not going to be impressed with that either. This is a 10-time Andros ice racing champion. They banned him. They asked him never to come back again because he won it too many times. That's how good he is with low grip. And he is 4th quickest. His fastest lap, as Matt says, 2.555 seconds behind.
Pachito found 1.2 seconds in the last sector alone, so it was obviously slightly drying in the last sector.
He's found something somewhere, hasn't he?
Well, no, Tarquini found a good chunk of time in that last sector as well.
Yeah,
so.
he did. Well, in both cases, and in Montero's case it wasn't so, they were staying on the grey stuff and not going over the green edges around turns 11, 12, 13. The final 3 corners. If you go off track there, you just spin the wheels up and lose 2 or 3 seconds.
But I guess the thing is, you want to get the steering wheel as straight as possible, as early as possible, to get the power down and accelerate down that long straight. Because if you still have a bit of lock on, and Matt, you can correct me, you're just going to spin up that inside rear front wheel.
Yeah, in these conditions, Ben, you'll actually just spin both wheels because the diffs the way they are. But you're on the right sort of line.
Just staying off the paint around the outside of 12 and 13, especially 13, that's enough. That's enough to give you another second. Going on the paint cost you. We saw it from Thiago's lap 5 or 10 minutes ago, where he was on an absolute flyer and then ran off wide around the paint, and as a result, gave away 3 seconds in the final sector alone. Jose Maria Lopez fastest, and Norby, fans you saw there in the crowd all cheering him on, that's the noise below us, 5th quickest ahead of Quinhua Ma. We saw already lots of work going on the Citroën of Sebastian Loeb, front end stripped back to the non-damaged bits. You also saw obviously the shot from the side of the garage rather from the front. Mind you, if I was working now, I wouldn't want the door open and the cold, wet air coming in either, so I can sort of slightly see that. If they weren't quite so retentive about everything else, I'd give them the benefit of the doubt. Anyway. European Touring Car Cup getting ready to come out for their first free practice session. They're racing here this weekend. Season starts for them. And AutoGP as well, racing here this weekend. Pretty trying conditions for them today.